long may it continue, because my ultimate goal in all of this is to get the OTAs to lower their commission rate, to give us back more power and start to treat us like partners, because they keep saying partners, but it's not a partnership, but the way that they treat us, that's phenomenal. And again, it all starts by asking those very simple questions, 4 little words. And the problem is so many people don't do it.
Welcome to another episode of Property Lunch with Giuseppe. Now, today I have another guest, marketing expert in property and serviced accommodation and everything else that concern direct bookings, etc. Now, today, Mark Simpson agreed to be interviewed by myself. And hello, Mark, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Are you still in Spain or are you back to your UK?
Yes, still in Spain, as you can tell, because of the sun in the background.
You're running your business remotely, which is the goal for many entrepreneurs, many business owners. Every time I hear, I want to start a business, then the people generally get involved more and more in the business rather than on the business. And of course, there is a lot of work involved when you start a business, but it's also important to understand when it's time to work on your business and do it remotely, which means the business is working without you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely created all of this with that in mind. I've been in hospitality for years, and I remember being 2011 to 2016, we were in the business, massively in the business, doing all the day-to-day with the family business. It was a bed and breakfast, it was holiday accommodation in Scarborough. And when we finally took a step back after learning about all the things you talk about, and I had the idea for Boostly, both me and my wife were building towards the stage where it would be a case that we didn't have to be set in one place. So I'm very lucky that now we can travel the world as long as I've got a laptop, Wi-Fi. The whole team, the team that I've built, is all working remotely.
That's true. And you are the founder of Boostly. The Boostly is more like a group. There's not just one thing. There's a Boostly Academy. There's direct booking challenges. You run a lot of things, and you give value to a lot of communities in the internet. And I was one of the people who subscribed to one of the challenges that you made. It was a couple of years ago, and it was about direct bookings. Now, you are known in the industry as the go-to person for direct bookings in service accommodation and hospitality. Now, what's the reason for focusing on this niche?
Purely and simply, I've seen too many people get burnt because they over-rely on a third party to bring in their revenue. I've been talking about this since 2016, and the whole reason why I created it was after going to a local tourism meeting in the Scarborough area, and there were hosts who were complaining about, booking.com, complaining about the Expedia group, and just talking about how commission costs and how they felt like they weren't in control of a booking. And through, I'd say, the last 10 years, the marketing tactics that I learned from my previous job in London when I was in sales and marketing, I was able to put those practices in place in our family business, which meant that we were 80% direct booking, and we only had to use the OTAs when we needed them. And the problem is that I saw so many people flip the other way around, where they were 80% reliant on OTAs, 90% reliant on OTAs for their revenue. And then they had a 20 or 10 or even 5% of direct bookings. It's a real unhealthy ratio to have. And I was always saying to people, listen, you've got to be careful. You've got to do these things. And, the main kickback that I had was, well, what's the point when Airbnb and booking.com get all the traffic? What's the point when I don't have the time? I'd rather pay them a commission and not have to do it. And I know that the tactics that you can do don't cost money. I know they don't take a lot of time. And I know the benefits of it in the medium and the long term and even the short term. And I was always saying 2016, 2017, the response back was, yep, I understand I need to do this. I'll come to it another time. 2019. And then 2020 happened. And we all know what happened in March of 2020. I don't need to say it. But again, I know people that were so over-reliant on the OTAs, so over-reliant on Airbnb and Booking.com. And it was that day in April, sorry, that day in March where everybody woke up and Airbnb had just sent a message out without consulting hosts to all of the guests that had made any of the bookings that you can cancel your stay free of charge. Doesn't matter what the cancellation policy was. And that's the problem. That's where the problem arises, is that so many people just lost so much money during that time, and which is why direct bookings are so important. Now, I'm not saying that just because a guest would have booked direct, they wouldn't have cancelled in March 2020. But you've got one thing that the OTAs don't give you, and that is power over the booking, control over the booking. Hosts had the ability to contact a guest directly and say, you know, Giuseppe, I know that you plan to come and see us in April. Obviously, with what's going on, you can't right now. Are you able to move that booking? Can we keep the booking, but just move it to a date later in the year? And you get that power when it's a direct booking. Now, we obviously at the family business, we obviously lost bookings, but we're able to save a lot of revenue. We're able to keep the money in the bank and just move it to a later date because of that change not cancel policy that we had. And when you don't have a direct booking, you don't have that. You are literally playing somebody else's sandpit, which is really dangerous. And, you know, I've been doing this for 5 years now. I'm not the only person talking about direct bookings. I'm grateful that there's lots of people around the world, and like the people that I now teach are now going out and teaching others about direct booking, and it's fantastic. So long may it continue, because my ultimate goal in all of this is to get the OTAs to lower their commission rate, to give us back more power and start to treat us like partners, because they keep saying partners, but you know, it's not a partnership with the way that they treat us. The only way we're going to do this is with numbers. I can't go to these guys and get them to change their mind because they're never going to listen. But if I can get 1 million hosts to increase their direct bookings, cut down on their over-reliance, then you know, we've got a big number base there to go to them and you know, try and get a foot at the table. So this is why I'm doing it. It's a legacy play. It's a long game play. You know, the whole of Boostly has been created for purpose over profit. But because of that, because of how it's been built, I've been very fortunate to get a large client base, a large following, which has meant that the back end is that me and my family have got to be able to travel the world. It's a secure, lovely set of business, all like bootstrapped, no funding from anywhere. And I like to think that every single member has a say in the direction that Boostly takes with what we do next, with how we train, what I train, how I train it. You know, it's been designed accidentally on purpose, I like to say. It's been an amazing ride.
So let's explain, just in case people don't know about the acronyms. OTA stands for online travel agencies, and we're talking mostly about Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, all the others online travel agencies. Don't you think, Mark? I do understand, because they have different kind of commissions. They charge the hosts and sometimes the guests. For example, Booking increase the commissions as well, and then Airbnb was splitting between the host and the guest. Now, don't you think that this is a necessary evil when you don't have your contacts, you just putting your property on the market for the first time? I mean, this is something that you don't have the resources to market it for direct booking straight away. But I know you tap into this field where you have this, publish it on autos, and then you have something else that allows you to get direct bookings, right?
Yeah, I say this all the time, is that because I'm known as the direct booking guy, people naturally assume that means that I'm cold turkey on the online travel agents. That's couldn't be further from the truth. Like I said from the very start, you've got to make them work for you and not the other way around. You do have to be listed on all of these channels because they spend millions, if not billions, in advertising revenue and marketing to get people onto their site. But that doesn't mean that you're just going to rely on them. And this is the problem. When you first get started in any business, you have got to market it. And we are very fortunate in the industry that we're in, you can create a business, you can get a property or properties, and there are 2 or 3 websites that you can put your business on where you guarantee to get revenue. Now, if I can't think of any other industry that is like that. You know, I do website design. There is not a website design listing site that I can put Boostly on where I'm guaranteed to get clients from. So it's a blessing and a curse. Like I said, the blessing is that you can pretty much guarantee to get revenue. The curse is that you get lazy and you go, oh, so fine, you know, I'll just leave it on there and I'll get revenue and I'll get bookings. But then again, the more and more you do that, the more that you are become over reliant. And when you become over reliant on anything, then, you know, it can very quickly turn. It's why if you speak to any financial advisor or any expert in like the financial industry, they always say to spread your assets around. Don't put everything on one asset. Like don't put everything on Dogecoin, you know, or Bitcoin, because again, you get burned. It's the same with anything. And it's the same with this. It's the same with your marketing, you know, and when I started to advertise and promote Boostly, I was heavily reliant on Facebook. Everything that I did was Facebook, whether that was my page, my personal profile, groups that I was a part of. And I was very fortunate that after about, say, 18 months, that I realized, you know, I can't just put all my eggs in this one basket. It's the exact same thing that I'm teaching with like direct bookings and OTAs. I can't rely on just Facebook because at the end of the day, something could happen and you could lose your profile, it could get hacked, etc. So I studied up and learned more about email marketing. I got built up an email database. I was more present on, say, things like LinkedIn and Instagram and, you know, and YouTube and podcasting. So it meant that I was more visible, which was good, because if I had continued down that route, December 2020, I lost my Facebook account, my personal Facebook page. It was locked out, and I just couldn't get back. All the security things were working. Nobody from Facebook could help me because it's all, you know, AI automated. And after 30 days, they said, because you haven't had access to your account for 30 days, it's gone. And that's a problem, and it's present everywhere. So this is what I'm saying. They are a necessary evil, but I don't even call them evil. I'm basically calling them a marketing channel.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on there. You've got to use them, but you've got to make them work for you. And there's such simple things that everybody could do. Doesn't matter on if you've got 1 property, if you've got 100 properties, if you feel like you're a techno whiz kid, or that you're an absolute newbie with all of this. There's things that you can do that don't cost any money, that don't take a lot of time, and you can put them into practice that will help you massively in the short, the medium, and the long term.
Were you in December in the Facebook jail? Is that for the? I remember you posted a lot, and I remember seeing one of your posts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one. I say you've been following me on Facebook for a while now, and yeah, it was. I got locked out. It was a random experience. I got locked out on my personal Facebook account. The reason, well, no, I never got told the reason, but the reason I believe is that at the end of December, I was going to take a couple of weeks out, weeks off with the family, and, you know, try and celebrate Christmas, because we couldn't go back to the UK. We're obviously in lockdown here, and I wanted to make sure that, you know, I was there at present all time and just enjoy it. Posted in a couple of groups that I was going to be taking a bit of a break. Copied it, pasted it into a couple of groups, and on the 3rd time of pasting it, I got locked out. Facebook said that they locked me out because they thought there was some suspicious behavior, as in copy paste. And I was never given the normally you get a chance to get a text message or take a picture of your face to show you're not a bot, but I never got that for whatever reason. And after 30 days, gone. So yeah, I am so gone from the Facebook. Very fortunate I was able to create a separate account, which I don't really use, but it just means I can access the Boostly Facebook page, and I can access my groups. But yeah, like it's a lesson for everybody.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well about don't put all your eggs in one basket. You mentioned about the lockdown that happened on the 23rd of March 2020. And I remember, because I run a service accommodation business as well, and I remember Booking.com, Airbnb were starting to send all these cancellations, you know, as soon as the lockdown was announced. And I say, oh my goodness, what do we do now? Now, of course, I had some direct bookings as well, because by the time I've run your 5 days challenges, remember, and I've studied myself as well. By the way, I don't know if you remember, but I won the prize for the best action taker in your challenge, which you gave me a book that I recommend to everybody. It's called Talk Triggers, and it's been like a blessing for marketing. So if you don't have that book, go and get it on Amazon. It's brilliant. And I remember these direct bookings that I had, and people start to panic and to message, okay, what can we do? You know, we can't travel anymore. Can we get our money back? And I say, yeah, of course you can get your money back. Actually, I have two options for you. One is I can just refund you straight away, or I can keep you as a voucher, and then you can postpone it whenever, you know, you're able to travel again. And I have to say that 60-70% of the people that had already the booking with us agreed on keeping the voucher. We for us was good because we could keep the money for the business. There was a risk, of course. They were going to probably book it in April, and then they want it in August when it's the high season. But hey, what can we do? You know, that's something that
Yes.
you're doing to help people.
We didn't know. Nobody knew. Nobody had a clue. It's really hard to sort of get back into that main mindset of last match because it was so panicky. It was crazy. No one knew what was going to happen. They didn't know if this was going to be, you know, blown over in a few weeks or if this was like the plague revisited, and people were panicking. And the worst thing for me is that the governments were panicking as well, like the people that we trust. And so looking back on it then, it was the best thing to do because you were keeping money in the bank, which was paying for bills because bills were still coming out. You know, if you do rent to rent or anything like that, if you've got staff to pay, all of that jazz, doesn't matter on what sort of government packages came back in, there's still bills that needed paying. So the money was in the bank, but you were able to move it. And you're right. People did cancel, but I found that a large majority happily moved their bookings, which was like a savior. And this is, it all comes back to it, is that those that were on Airbnb, you don't have that same relationship. You are just a number. And so people they had the opportunity, got a get out of jail card. They didn't even talk about changing, they cancelled. And the thing that hurt, the thing that really stuck the knife into me was that Airbnb were not then refunding service charges. They weren't refunding, they were giving them back as vouchers on Airbnb when they were just taking the money from the house. So things like that really annoyed me. And you know, booking.com aren't any better. Verbo were actually one of the best out of all of them. But yeah, lessons have been learned, and the book direct movement is definitely taking off on the back of it.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, let's give some tips to our community here. I know it's a big topic, but how do we get direct bookings? So let's say you have your bookings through one of the authors, and then what?
So something that anybody can do, and it doesn't matter if you've got one property, if you've been doing it for a week or a month, everybody has got one of these, which is a phone. I'm holding a phone up. Doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, a Samsung, or whatever. On your phone, if you go into your phone book, you've got contacts. Now, you've got friends, you've got ex-work colleagues, you've got family, you've at least got 10 people. So what you can do is you can grab that phone, you've got your property, it needs bookings. Doesn't matter whether these are local people or people that are in and around the area or whatever it may be. You're going to pick up the phone and you're going to either text, voice message, video message, or you can give them a call. And there's 4 little words, not 5, 4 little words I want you to remember. Do you know anyone? Really simple, really effective. Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone that needs accommodation? Do you know anyone that's coming to town? Do you know of anybody who's coming here for work? Do you know anyone? It's really effective. And people go, "Oof, I don't know if I can do this." These are your friends. These are your family members. These are people who love you. If you can't ask the people who know you the closest, then how are you ever going to run a business? And this is the thing. When you start a business, you have to market. You have to put yourself out there. I don't care what you're doing. And this is a very simple part of it. It doesn't cost any money. You can do it in the ad break of Coronation Street. It's so easy to do. It takes 5 minutes. And you'll be amazed at the response. A lot of the times, we all naturally assume that we build up this idea in our head. We go, right, I'm going to start a serviced accommodation business. I'm going to go get properties. I'm going to do all this thing. And you build up to be a big event in your head. But unless your friends aren't following you 24/7 or on Facebook every day, some of them won't even know what you're doing. They'll still think you're being an old job. So by simply doing that text, they'll go, oh, okay. And they'll go, well, I don't know anybody, but I know somebody who might do. Or they'll go, well, fantastic, great, I love it. Let me go post up in my WhatsApp group or my Facebook group. And this is the beauty of it. By simply asking, you've got an opportunity to get the word out there. Your friends and your family members will be your biggest influencers. Everybody talks about influencer marketing, and you feel like you got to go get an Instagram celebrity to come and stay in your place for free in exchange for a stay. But really, if you boil down to it, your best influencers are your friends, your family, your ex-co-workers, or guests. Now, if you're fortunate enough to be watching this and you've already had guests in the past, guess what you're going to do? You're going to text them. And, you know, the best ones to send these texts to are those guests who came for business. Over the last year, leisure bookings has massively taken a dip, but key workers and business bookings have obviously been still going. Anybody who's relocating for a home move, key workers, NHS staff, lorry drivers, you know, delivery drivers, you know, business workers have still had to travel and can travel. And you will at least have one person that you can think of right now. Now, those business people, when business people make a booking, especially if they've come to you, say, via an OTA, what they're doing, and the service accommodation world is really good at this. When a booking comes in for business, you're switched on enough to go, hang on a second, I know that it's not the only time they're going to come here. There's a very high chance. So if you give them a call and say they had a booking with you for like a few days, there's a very high chance that a PA has just booked it for a few days, or they've just booked it for a few days to test you out. And by picking up the phone and going, oh, so Giuseppe, when you came to stay with us, you know, why did you stay with us? What was the booking for? Oh, I was working at the local BT factory or whatever it may be, X, Y, and Z. I come in there every month, and I was just, okay, great. So where do you normally stay? Oh, I was normally stayed at this Travelodge hotel, but obviously with the pandemic, it was shut down, X, Y, and Z. Okay, so are you planning on coming back? I'm not. Do you know anybody that is? Do you know anyone? And it'll be powerful. They'll go, well, I'm not sure, but let me put a message out around the office. Great. Brilliant. And then this is the important bit, is the incentive. Because if people will ask about for you, people will give you a referral, people will give you a review. But if you put an incentive on the other end, then people are more likely to act. Now, an incentive could be anything from £50 Amazon voucher to a little present in the post, or it could be straight cash back, whatever you want to do, but you make it worthwhile. Don't offer vouchers of a future stay or anything like that. Actually give them something that they can use right there and then. Yeah. And people will be more likely to do it. Now you may be thinking, oh, £50 cash or £50 Amazon voucher. But if you compare that to the commission costs you're going to pay, and as well, when it comes in like that, it's a direct booking, and we've talked about this. It's a little cost for a maximum benefit, and especially if it turns out to be a booking that's a 6-7 month booking, you know, for a worker, or you know, or you get a booking request come in, you can't take it, but you've got a buddy down the road who's got a service accommodation business who can. You get past them a 7 month booking, and they give you a 5-10% commission back, or so kickback back. Then that's phenomenal. And again, it all starts by asking those very simple questions, 4 little words. And the problem is so many people don't do it.
Yeah. You touched a little bit, a few points there. One is you don't ask directly. Sometimes, you know, they feel like, oh, you're asking me directly. So you don't say, do you need it? But do you know anyone? Which, you know, gives you a bit of like a smooth entry. So first of all, you don't ask directly. And then also the fact that people are a bit... not ashamed, but they're shy on talking about their business or their new entrepreneurial life, let's say, the new business ideas, etc. So if they overcome that fear of asking the friends or the family, then they can build their list of contacts and grow their business. That's number one. Number two is, you're totally right on saying about, for example, the Amazon voucher or whatever, £50. If you think, I'm just looking at my mobile right now, and I have just received a booking of 7 nights on booking.com. And if I look at it, I don't know if I can show you without showing you any names. If I look at this, you can see 724, and then you see a commission of £130. Now, if you think about £50 is a lot less than £130 of commission. That's just an example, you know, and it's a no-brainer. But people think, oh, £50 is a lot of money. It's not compared to the commission when you mention it. And this is just a live example, you know, what happened with online travel agencies.
Not just the money. That's the most important thing, because a lot of people get bogged down with the money side of it, which of course is important, but it's the power. It's having that direct booking. It's your rules. It's booked on your policies. You know, it's your cancellation policies. It literally is your booking. So, for example, and I can't, you know, it happens all the time. You could have the most strictest non-refundable policy on booking.com. You are guaranteed to get a phone call. And bear in mind, we had a 14-bedroom guest house. We had 3 holiday cottages. That's lots of moving parts. We get so many phone calls, even on our non-refundables, saying, oh, the guest has called, they can't make it. I know you've got non-refundable, but you know, it'd be really super if you could just allow them to cancel, no charge. They don't care what your policies are. Their affiliation, their priority is not you. You are a number.
Yeah.
It's the guest that's always their priority. And it really doesn't matter. And at the end of the day as well, which is really key, is that with booking.com, they let you reserve with any card. It doesn't even have to have money on it. So people reserve it, put them on there, put it on a credit card that they haven't used for years, knowing full well that even if with the strictest cancellation policy, if I try and take money off it, it's nothing's going to come out, it just comes back declined. And there's literally nothing you can do. You know, you can go down the course of like small claim courts and stuff, but by the time it actually gets anywhere, it's actually worthless. Yeah. So it's not the money, it's the power of it. It's that direct booking. When somebody books with you directly, it's more power, more control, and you've got more say, which is really important. And again, it's just something that so many hosts don't think about, because they just see the booking coming in. They don't see that commission going out. They don't realize the power of it. So yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, here's what I do, Mark. Regarding, like you mentioned about contacting the people that are booking for business, and then says, you know, trying to investigate what they're doing and asking them if they know anybody else is coming back to the area. What I do generally is call them when they stay. So as soon as they come in, I call them, check that everything is okay. So I guarantee as well some kind of, you know, if there's any problems, I can fix it straight away. And also for the reviews. But also I ask them if they would like to extend their stay, especially if I have space, you know, after they check out. And I have to be, I'm completely honest here, about 8 times out of 10, they extend. Even if it is for 1 or 2 nights, they do extend. So of course I offer them a discount on the extra nights, but the discount is less than the commission that I would pay if they would go through one of the others. And this works 8 times out of 10, at least in my experience. I don't know in your experience.
Yeah, well, it's a trick that so many people don't do. And again, it's so important. Look at your calendar. Now, the world is opening up. The UK is opening up. Staycations are on the boom. And a lot of people have got a pretty packed calendar between now and, say, October. Even if you haven't, go and look at your bookings ahead. And if you've got fully booked up dates, you can do this. You'll notice some gaps. You'll notice some greens. And you'll notice that, say, there'll be a couple of weeks where there's like a 3-day gap between checkout and check-in of the next guest. Now, a 3-day booking can cause a lot of stress, especially in the summer, if you think about cleaners and all that jazz. One of the easiest things you can do is you can contact the guest that is due to check out, say, on Monday, the 1st of August. Call them up and go, so hi, Giuseppe, hope you're doing well. So just to let you know, there's actually a 3-day gap between you checking out and the next guest arriving. Now, we don't really want to put it back out there on the market to be booked, because we want to offer it to you first to see if you'd like to extend for a couple of extra days. And again, this is really important if you know the type of guest, so if it's business or whatever, but at least ask the question. Just say, what we'll do it for X amount. We'll give you a bit of a discount and X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to do, whether put in an extra bottle of bubbly or, you know, offer a later checkout, whatever it may be. But then what you'll then do is that you can get that 2-night booking. It's a direct booking. It's an extension. And it just means that you haven't got to pay extra for cleaning staff to go in, boom, and then boom. And another thing is that it's not lost revenue. So you can get an extra 2 nights on, or 3 nights on, and then the cleaners can go in. You only have to pay for 1 clean, only have to pay for 1 change of sheets, etc. The guest gets to extend for a couple extra days, because sometimes they just, if you ask them the question, they might, and it happens a lot, especially if it's a worker, etc. So this is a cool thing that anybody can do. It's about confidence. It's about confidence. And what I love to do is I love to make people get comfortable about feeling uncomfortable. It's about using this. It's about picking up the phone, being human, having a conversation with your guests. Don't just treat them as a number. Actually treat them like people, and you'll be amazed at the response that you get back. It doesn't take a lot of time. I promise you, it doesn't take a lot of time at all. Sometimes it can just be a case of picking up and sending a WhatsApp. The recent studies show it takes 90 minutes for someone to reply to an email. It takes 90 seconds for someone to reply to a text message. Yeah. So again, when it comes to it, don't just take the easy route out and send an email. Pick up the phone and have a conversation with your guest.
Brilliant advice. Thank you very much for that. So, Mark, what is your plan for the future? What's the vision that you have for the next 6-12 months?
So Boostly is about to turn 5 this year, which is really exciting. Our goal is to get to 1,000 websites over the course of next year. We're at 600 now. So that means 1,000 Boostly websites out there in the world, which means that hosts have got a website, a WordPress website that they can be proud of. We're creating new technology, which means that now we can sync directly in to the biggest property management software out there. So when we talk about PMS, we're talking about Toki, talking about uplisting, Hostfully, you name it. These are the big guys. And so we can now sync our websites into there. So it just means it's a real smooth transition. So that's a big focus of mine this year, was to get the websites really firing. And it's taken a lot of work. We're looking at the onboarding process. We're making sure that our customer service people are fantastic, and it's all like working well, and everybody's remote. So it's going really well. The podcast, the Boostly podcast, I wanted to step it up. And so we're doing an episode every single day. So there's an episode every day on YouTube and on Apple and on Spotify. We're basically just growing that, which is great. I want to get that to go past the 500,000 download mark, which will be a real big milestone. And my big goal is to get an Amazon bestseller this year. I've got a book coming out.
Yes,
it's coming out in September, which I'm really looking forward to. I've got a really good editor working on the first draft right now. We've got a publisher lined up, which is exciting. So yeah, we're looking at November. So yeah, that's really exciting. I've never released a book before. It's my first one. I'm really looking forward to the whole process of it, and how to promote it, and how to talk about it, and how to get more awareness of it. The book is called the Book Direct Playbook. I was
genius. It's a book direct.
Yeah, well, the inspiration behind it is Tools of Titan by Tim Ferriss. I'm a massive Timothy Ferriss fan. And Tools of Titan, he created that book based on his 200 episodes of his podcast. And it was like a book that you dip in and out. You don't read from cover to cover. You come in, you find a chapter, you read it, and whatever. And this is what I wanted the Book Direct Playbook to be. It's like a playbook, like a sports book. Like my whole background is coaching, and I used to do soccer coaching. I used to travel America doing it. And it's basically like when I'm at a game and I've got a playbook in front of me, and you could go in and go, right, I want a tactic on email marketing. Here we go. Here's a chapter on email marketing. Read it, go and do it, put it into practice, and then come back and do it another if you want. So that's the whole reason behind it.
I love the concept, and I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people as well with direct bookings. Right, Mark. So one question I didn't ask you, because I know it's a huge topic, is the channel manager. Now, I've seen so many posts online says, which one is the best channel manager? It's like asking, the £1 million question. Do you, in your Boostly website, include as well a channel manager?
Well, the Boostly website syncs into the channel manager. So for example, we work with Rentals United, which is probably the most well-known channel manager. And with our websites, there's this new technology called API. Okay, if you don't know what API is, don't worry. But if you've ever used Zapier, or if you've ever used any channel manager, then that's basically an API. And we just sync directly into them. Now, a channel manager or a PMS, property management software, channel manager, it's essential for every business. I don't care if you've got one property, if you've got 100 properties. It is so key and essential, because what it means is that you can go multi-platform. Your business can be spread all around the internet, around all the big OTAs, and you'll never be in the worry that you're going to get a double booking, basically. Also, as well, when you go with a PMS or a channel manager, they also give you the ability to sync into software such like Stripe. So you can then take payments directly and get those direct bookings. And also as well, it means that you can have a direct booking engine. So what that means for Boostly websites is that we work with these PMSs and we get a direct booking engine, we attach it onto our websites, and it just means that there's a portal or an avenue or an asset where a guest can go to that can then find a property, find your property, and make the booking. So yeah, it's so key. It still amazes me now in 2021 that hosts don't have a PMS or a channel manager.
Yeah.
So I've done a whole blog on it. We surveyed over 100 hosts, and we got the most popular ones, PMSs, channel managers, and we did a whole pros and cons on it. Because you're right, you could go into any Facebook group and you could ask, the question. You'll get 10 different answers. So we went in, we created a full blog on it. It's if you want to go check it out, it's boostly.co.uk/PMS. And yes, it's our most viewed blog. It's our most viewed blog. So it's I know that it's really important. And I know it's very topical for a lot of people.
Yeah, what I'm going to post the link in the comments as well, so people can just click and they can go and have a read about it. Mark, thank you very much for this interview. It's been insightful, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time there in Spain and come back to UK whenever is possible. I'm looking forward to go to Italy as well at some point, but I can't at the moment. And I hope to see you soon as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And yeah, just come on by. Just tuning in. Please do come onto the website, come and say hi, and yeah, get in contact if you want to find out more.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mark. See you soon then.
Bye-bye.